Hi, it's Nik and Adinah Johnson. Hey.
Hey now.
Well, we wanted to come together with a video today, and this is something that I noticed. Our son was playing football. He just ended his football season. They did very well. And I noticed that the coaches do a lot of cursing at the kids, a lot of foul language with the kids. And I was told, oh, that's just football. And I'm like, okay, fine. Well, I heard one of the coaches cursing at his daughter. And I'm like, that is not part of football. And that thing, it really bothered me. And I mentioned it to another person that I was walking with. And they were like, well, that's their personal thing. That's how they handle their household, whatever. And I said, yeah. And I understood where that person was coming from. But I had not had a time to process it yet. And after I processed it, I talked to you about it a bit. And it was like, it bothered me because what the coach said to his daughter, who is like 7, he was like, and I'm not a cursor, so I'll just have to kind of tell y'all in context what he said. And you're going to be like, okay, are you 5? You're cursing. I mean, you're spelling this curse word. But he was like, get your ASS in the car. And I'm like, that just hurt me because with our daughter, you don't talk to our daughter like that. I feel like at 7, someone who is supposed to love her, to curse at her and tell her to get her A in the car. So when she does, you're preparing her that someone who loves her will talk to her like that. And so when she's 19 and some guy tells her, get your A in the car, she'll do it. Because she's been taught that it is okay for someone to talk to her like that. That is not okay.
Yeah, you know, it's almost, in a sense, even though it's not intentional, it's almost like grooming them for that.
You're preparing them.
And I know in your story that you experienced, it was a dad talking to her daughter. However, you know, it can go always. It can be a mom talking to her son, you know, or a mom talking to her daughter as well, vice versa. So I think what's really important is that we start to, these are such formative years, I apologize, formative years when it comes to our kids. And so what happens is that we teach them how they should be treated.
Right.
You know, so by the things that we say and do, they think that, okay, if this is somebody who is supposed to love me more than anybody else on this planet, and they do this, it must be okay for that to happen. Yeah. You know, so I know one of the things that we try to do with our kids is talk to them in a way in which we want them to deem as acceptable. Right. You know, are we saying that we don't yell at them or fuss at them? No, because, you know, at times there is time when there should be discipline, but there'll never be a time when you'll catch us cursing and yelling and all that stuff at them. And, you know, it's not going to happen, because what happens is that they think that it's okay. Yeah. And so, for instance, with our daughter, we constantly tell our boys, you know, hey, you have to be mindful of the way that you treat your sister, because between me and you all, that's how she's learning how men are supposed to treat her. And so if we're, you know, if you think it's okay to fight them, yell at them, scream, whatever, they're going to just think that that's what men are supposed to do. Right. I know that, kind of talking about football, it was the end of the season, and we were like doing this tailgate in the parking lot. What happened, I was sitting by my son, and you had to go off because you had a book signing. A book signing you had to do. So I was there with our middle boy, and one of the moms were there, and she was just kind of roughhousing with Aiden. And so what happened is that she said, "Hey, I'm gonna fight you." He was like, I can't hit girls." And she was like, "You can't hit girls." She was like, "You are being raised right. Where's your daddy?" She was like, you remember that. You do not put your hands on women. Right. But Aiden just knows that from being, you know, as old as he could ever, you know. As long as he can remember. Yeah, because we had a situation. He's in middle school now. Our son is in middle school. And he called me this week. And that's why it's so important for our children to be able to reach out to us. He called me this week. They had a substitute teacher. And I could hear the teacher yelling at the kids. And our son was like, "Mom,
He's yelling at us. He's cursing at us. We're not teaching him. We teach him that it's not okay for people to talk to him like that. So I'm glad he's in a position where in middle school, yeah, everybody's cursing. I have heard parents curse like sailors with their kids
middle
sitting.
Middle school is literally the worst phase of anybody's life.
Yeah, middle school is horrible. So I've sat there and listened to kids hear their parents curse and say very rude, derogatory things, even cursing at the kids. I've heard that while he's at middle school. But we have taught our children that it is not okay for people to speak to you that way. And that's why he ended up calling me. And when he called me, I said, well, let me talk to the teacher. Because it's COVID. I can't go to the school like I normally be like, I'm here. So the teacher, I explained to him, I said, I can hear you yelling at the kids. And I brought it down. I didn't want to be like, you stop yelling at the kids. I didn't do that. But I just explained to him, I said, I can hear you yelling at the kids. Is it possible for my son to leave your room? You know, because he wanted to leave, but he didn't want to be disrespectful, which I'm very happy about. And that teacher said, yeah, he can go somewhere else and do his work, because he did not need to be around that. But we teach our children to come to us. And if someone says something to hurt your feelings, come to us and have a conversation with us. And if there's something we can do about it, great. And if there's nothing we can do about it, let's at least process it and have a conversation about it.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think, I don't know if I remember teachers cussing so much. I'm like, man, I can't. Are these different teachers now? I don't know. I mean, I remember like one teacher. I remember him cussing, and it was
always like, ooh, yeah, that type of thing. I was like, I slipped.
And literally, he cursed because there was a fight in the school, and he was angry because everybody ran toward the fight.
Oh yeah, that's not smart.
And he was like, "What's wrong with y'all?" He was like, "Y'all running? What if they pulled out a gun? Dang it, beeps will be running the other way." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay."
It was mad. You know, but that's part of it. I know when our son was small and he opened the door to our van while you were driving, you were like, "Stop doing that!" And I was like,
"Yeah, I yelled him. I didn't cuss him. I yelled him. I was like, man,
no,
are you trying to roll down the road, man?"
And I was like, "Oh my God, don't yell at the kids," you know. But then I thought, I mean, it is a life or death situation here. So I was being unreasonable, and I talked to you about that. I said, you know, I don't like you yelling at the kids, but he's opening the door. I'd rather you yell at my child and save his life than for him to...
I was supposed to be like, "Hey now, what are you doing there, little fella?
Don't open the door. You're going to be on the street like Splat."
Yeah, you know, you might take a nasty bump. So, you can't do that. So there
are times that and I had to check myself on that. I was like, oh my God, I'm glad you yelled at our child and startled him to not open the car door.
Yeah, but now that I think about it, I don't think he's done that since.
No. Who would? I mean, you were like, ah!
I mean,
it's like, whoa.
What am I supposed to do? You know, the other option, there just was no other option other than to do that. So, but as far as when it comes to the talking and the speech that we have, I think kind of the focus of this one is on our kids, because what we do, they mimic and model so much of that, and they think that is just okay and what's normal. So we have to figure that out and figure out better ways to do that. And I think, you know, when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
You know, you might say, hey, you know what, as a child, you know, I grew up in a house and that's what my parents did.
Yeah.
Right. Did you like it?
Yeah. And how did it make you feel when your parents talked to you like that? If they did, or your coach or whoever. But I'm noticing that is seemingly, because I was watching the Colin Kaepernick thing, and their coaches were cursing at them like, and they said, well, that's just a part of football. And I get that, but I don't know. I guess the setting.
I don't know. I did some coaching of like our oldest boy when he was going through. And I never was one who liked to scream or yell. Yeah. That was just me. And I've always identified more with, you know, the Tony Dungy school of coaching, where Tony Dungy was always very mild. He was very respectful. He always wanted to communicate and things like that. And I always felt like ultimately fear only lasts so long, but respect will last a lifetime. So I've always felt like I prefer for somebody to respect me than to fear me.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people who try to use profanity is just trying to give an appearance of being very demonstrative. Well, they're being demonstrative.
Okay.
Or just really trying to put on the air of being, really tough. And I just don't really feel like that's necessary.
I know one time you were coaching our oldest son, and I know we're going to wrap this video up, but he was like on the sideline, and he was still in the game. I don't know if y'all called a timeout or whatever, but he was like kind of running alongside, and I grabbed him by the helmet, and I was like, "Listen to your coach." You were the coach at the time, but I was just like, "Argh!" Because it's, I didn't curse at him, but I did grab his helmet, and I was like, "Listen to your coach. Get your head in the game." Yeah. Those parents, I noticed like on the sideline, because our kid went to championship. Those parents are so serious.
Mm-hmm. Like grabbing by him, saying, "Listen to your coach."
Well, because our son at the time needed a swift kick in his rear end. He could have been so much better. And then he finally did when he got in high school, got so much better in sports.
Yeah.
But those were the formative years. Those are the years where you learn the foundation of the sport. Yeah,
it's important. So you really want to make sure that they're out there doing their best, but also we as parents will make sure that we are doing our best. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody gonna be perfect, and we're not sitting here saying that we are perfect or the expectation is that you're perfect. But it's certain things that are, when we talk about football, they talk about the fundamentals: blocking and tackling. Yeah. Okay, you gotta know how to tackle, you gotta know how to block. Communication is basically the fundamentals of any relationship when it comes to your kids or with your spouses or anybody else. You have to get out blocking and tackling. You have to be able to communicate effectively and understand that once you learn how to communicate effectively, life gets so much easier. Yeah. It really is. So,
and that's why, when I first brought up the topic, I think it bothered me, but I had not processed it. I'm the type of person, I have to process my feelings and process my emotions and try to figure out why did it bother me, what was said to her, because it bothered me. It hurt me. It hurt my feelings because I was like, oh my gosh, that poor baby. Her dad is telling her, cursing at her.
Yep. You don't want her to think that is the norm, or anybody to think that's the norm. Yeah. Life is already difficult enough, so that's definitely the case. But we have choices, and we need to make the best ones when it comes to that. So, that being said, anything else we need to talk about, honey?
That's it.
Okay, so this has been Nik and Adinah Johnson. We thank you so much for watching our video. We ask that you would like, share. I don't know if we do the share part enough. Share it. Just click on YouTube, share, copy URL, put it on your social media, your Facebooks, anything that you do, just put it out there. It's greatly appreciated, and also that you would subscribe as well. So that being the case, as always, we ask that you take care of yourself and keep loving one another.